But on behalf of the family, we really thank you all for being here. And now, perhaps, Judge, you have a comment or two?
Or two. I agree with Chris, and I'll echo what you said. For all of those who love Helen, and there are many, we would literally need, as you said, a soccer stadium. But we all share that common bond with Helen. And I've known Helen for 36 years. We've worked together. I have a great ability to remember events, and dates, and times, but I just don't recall how I got Helen into my life. It just sort of happened. It might have met her through Chris, who worked in the DA's office. I might have seen her when she worked at the Register of Wills, but I know she was the receptionist. And when I got elected DA, Mike Kane left me a great staff, but I knew I had to pick out a secretary. And the first thing I said is, I want someone with great skills who's organized. And then I said, that's important, but I need someone who is really a terrific, special person. And I saw Helen, and it was an easy call. One of the things about Helen, and there's many great attributes, she is always a lady. There's nothing inappropriate about Helen. And I always said that I don't know how we ever got along for this time, but if we were single and it was a different time and place and we went on Match.com, our profiles would never intersect. Helen is a born-again Christian, and I'm culturally Jewish. I'm a little left of center in politics. Helen's to the right of the Sheriff of Nottingham. I have eaten everything. I've had fried grasshoppers, roasted alligator. One of my favorites is stuffed intestines. You've never really seen Helen lose control until you've taken her out for something other than mayonnaise and white bread. I remember taking her years ago to a Chinese restaurant, and she said, you're going to have to order from me because I don't have, I said, okay. So I ordered her egg drops, and they brought it out, and she made a face like, did you ever see the Scream, the picture? And she said, oh, what is that floating in the top? And I said, it's just eggs. She said, I don't know if I could eat that. I said, why don't you taste it? So she tasted it, and she said, it's okay, you eat it. But a year later, I put a bowl of hot sour soup in front of her, and she said, no, I'm not going to look at that either. Send it back. The profiles, Match.com. She's artistic. We've all seen her work. She has great talent. I can't draw a straight line. Helen is always appropriate. I have said so many inappropriate things in 36 years to Helen. And Chris, who's very astute, said, you know, thank God you have Helen as your secretary, because if you didn't have her, you might be in federal court. And she, as a plaintiff, would complain about a hostile workplace. So Chris said, this is probably what would happen to save you. She would come forward and be sworn, and she would testify about some of the things that I said or did, and go on for about an hour or two. And a judge would dismiss the case and say, nobody could work under their circumstances. This can't be truthful. Helen is a born-again Christian. As I said, I have a different faith. Helen is someone who believes in her faith, and I recognize it. And one of the things I remember many times, and this is another one of her great qualities, she's very compassionate and she's very caring. And I would come into the office or chambers, and I would see Helen sort of pensive with her head down, and perhaps her hands were folded, and she was very quiet. And I'd ask her later, what are you doing? And she said, I'm praying for somebody. I said, well, it's very nice. What happened? And she said the person was in a bad accident or had a terrible illness, and I'm hoping that somehow we can get some divine intervention on their behalf. So a week or two later, I'd see her very upset, and I'd say, what's the matter? She said, the person that I was praying for died. And I said, that's terrible. And this happened about 10 times. So I had some surgeries, nothing serious. And I used to say to Helen, look, I'm going in the hospital. Please do me a favor. Do not pray. I can tell you this. If in her new retired life you run into her and she's striking the same pose, pensive, thoughtful, compassionate, and she happens to be saying a prayer and you hear your name mentioned, start planning your funeral. I have great memories about Helen, all so good. She's special. There is a warmth about her that is so unique, and she's always been that way. We've had some great times, some tough times. We've celebrated together. We've been to sad occasions, family funerals. Our children played together as they were kids, and the 36 years has just gone by so quickly, and I've enjoyed absolutely every minute of it. I've never really seen Helen lose her cool. For example, you have. For example, she'd say to me, while you're out, you got a call, and she would mention who it is, and I'd go on just a tirade, that son of a, just keep on going and going and going for about 5 minutes, and then she'd say, all right, now that you've had your rant, what should I say to him? And she would always take care of it. Helen, in addition to her great skills and her warmth and compassion, was also a very good administrator, and maybe you don't think of her that way, but we had, and we have some of the people here who worked a long time in the DA's office. And sometimes there would be these little disputes between some of the support staff. And Helen would tell me about it, and I'd say, well, you handle it. I have other things to do. So she would go down and call these 2 or 3 women together, and she came back, and I said, how'd it work out? And she said, it's all settled. What did you tell them? She said, I'm the mommy. Don't make me call daddy. I miss Helen a lot already. 36 years has gone by in a flash. She's an extraordinary woman. We all know that. She's a beautiful woman and still retains that beautiful outside exterior, but it's what's inside, of course, which is why we're all here. And I miss you because I always was proud of the fact that I had a secretary who was older than me. Can't say that anymore. Helen had talked about retirement for a long time, and she certainly paid her dues. But I knew about a month ago that she was going to retire because I needed a file out of a drawer, and it was in the bottom. So it took 2 of us to get it. I would bend down, and Helen would pick me up and hand me the file. I could talk about you all day, and it would always be a superlative. There is nothing that I can think of that doesn't pass my mind to think of you as one of the most important people in my life. I have chosen very well with women. I have a great wife.
Amen.
And I had my daytime wife. And Helen and I figured it out. I have probably spent more waking hours with Helen over the last 36 years than I have with Marilyn. And it's something I will always cherish. I don't want to get sappy. I don't want to get silly. And I'm going to end this by saying you are a wonderful person. Everyone here knows that, shares that feeling with you. I've gotten you a gift, which I will give to you privately.
Keep your clothes on.
It's not from Victoria's Secret or anything like that.
Thank you.
It's something that I picked out personally, and I hope you like it, and I'll give it to you shortly, and I hope whenever you use it, you'll always think of us, because there's not a time that goes by that I don't think of you.
Me too.
We love you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.